Be Monday. So, pillow or bolster block if you have one, and a blanket. And let's just settle into a first little shake. So, let's take our pillow or bolster and we'll just have that kind of at knee level on the mat and just have your other two props handy. And let's just kick the knees over our prop setup and head on to our spine. So a little yin restorative tonight, a little bit different than normal. Think about settling into the shape in a way that allows you to just be at ease. And really, no other needs here other than being at ease. Maybe slow down your rate of respiration a little bit. Think about how your spine is being received. So there's this little old man who's at the bakery, a very popular bakery. And so there's a big line that he's at the back of. And he sees this middle-aged man, kind of a do-gooder, known in town. And he sees him jump into the middle of the line in front of him. Because we're going to have some longer holds here, some physical stillness in this practice. As you're being supported by the prop underneath your knees and the mat, can you let your awareness just scan from the bottom of the feet to the top of the head? Kind of searching out areas of rigidity, stiffness. Maybe note where you expect your restrictions to be the most acute. We'll give ourselves just 60 more seconds to center in. A nice long centering here. So that we can really feel our way into this practice. When it feels appropriate, let's remove that prop from underneath the knees. Let the legs extend out so you can fully extend the legs and just reach the arms overhead towards the space behind you, not towards the ceiling. Some good full length here. And then we'll relax, let the knees bend, fall to one side or the other, and we'll press ourselves up into a seat. In your seated space, let's re-engage with that pillow-like prop, so pillow bolster. And then just determine, we're headed into a supported forward fold. So determine if you'd like to use your other props here. So this shape can get as high as feels appropriate, and we're just looking for something to rest. So if we're using a pillow, we may want to fold that over multiple times and then maybe fold a blanket from kind of hot dog to a block-like shape. Just trying to create a position where we can be held in a forward fold. That said, if you feel like you have more space, you can allow for more forward movement here. But we do want to be supported in this shape. And so this old man waits in line. And he's kind of thinking about the person who cut kind of as the entire way as he progresses his way up. And sure enough, when he finally does get to the counter, they're out of chocolate croissants. And he can't help but kind of think, would there have been a chocolate croissant if I hadn't had someone cut in front of me? But he has to go home with a 4-pack of pain au chocolat. And so he kind of grumpily makes his way home. When he gets home, he goes into his drawer. He pulls out a little scrap of paper, like a little post-it note and a Sharpie. And he writes on it, Steve Miller, cut in line at the bakery. And he takes that little post-it note and he puts it in a little glass jar. And he takes that little glass jar and he clears off a shelf and he puts the jar with this little post-it note on the shelf in his living room with nothing else on it. And he sits down and he begrudgingly enjoys his chocolate pastry. As you settle into this first shape, and this is intentionally kind of a challenging first shape. For most of us, supported folds are challenging. They pull on the posterior chain. They put the full kind of structure of the spine into flexion. And that flexion pulls the upper body posterior chain kind of at its full capacity. And so lower body posterior chain for most of us is relatively rigid. Upper body posterior chain by design is relatively limited. And so as you're here, go back through that scan and think about the areas of restriction, the rigidity in the body. And then with a really clear awareness of those areas of rigidity, start to slow down and ease into the exhale portion of your breath. These holds are physical time in the shapes will be elongated. And so we really want to play into the breath ability to impact our own ability to expand, our body's ability to relax into expansion. And as you relax, can you watch the areas of restriction move and mobilize? Can you feel your breath kind of changing the way that restriction manifests in your body, where it manifests in your body? and you continue to feel the breath creating space within you. We'll give ourselves just 120 more seconds here. Last 30 seconds. When it feels appropriate, we'll bring ourselves back up towards vertical, and let's place that prop behind us. Now, if you're using a pillow, let's take your pillow and take a blanket roll. So you end up with something like this on top of a pillow. If you're using something with a little bit more density, you won't need the blanket. And then we are going to just bring our knees into a bent position and let both knees fall over towards the left. Let that left hand come over the top of the prop here, or the prop stack, and just let your left arm guide out to a big full bend. If you have a secondary prop that can be supportive of your head, feel free to use that. We want to be grounded in this hip region, and then feel the impact of our prop stack or prop on the torso bend. Right hand can come down in front of you, it can tuck behind you. Left arm, kind of same thing. You can extend that out for more depth. You can let it bend, you can let it peel open. What feels most, I'd say, both beneficial and comfortable. Kind of that meeting at that matrix. And really settle your way into a breath that accentuates what's going on in the rib cage, kind of mirroring on the right side where the left side is being fully impacted. So the inhale breath has a lot of impact capacity here. Really think about pulling those inhales in so that they fully expand you, so that you feel the rib cage receive the pressure from your lungs into that expansion point. Give ourselves just 60 more seconds on this first side. Those big, full pulls of inhale breath into the rib cage. Feel the lungs pressurize and expand you. One more big, full breath, full inhale, full exhale. And when it feels appropriate, we can use that right hand to help press us back up. And we'll let the knees come back to a neutral point. Just give yourself a little squeeze here. This can be over the top on the shins or underneath the hamstrings, but a little squeeze. And then let the knees fall to the second side, the right side. The right hand reaches and extends behind you, and you let the torso fall over that prop stack. Left hand then can find the space that's most beneficial and comfortable, right? That same little axis of what is giving you the most impact and what is allowing you the most ease here. We're once again just feeling our breath on this left side now as the lungs expand us. A couple days later, this old man is pulling into a parking lot. And it's a very full parking lot. There's one space left. He turns on his blinker, and as he does so, he sees a man pull right into the spot he had already signaled he was taking. He frustratedly pulls out of the parking lot, finds a spot down the street. Later that day, he writes that man's name on a little sticky note. puts it in a glass jar, puts that glass jar on a shelf next to the other. And now he's looking at two glass jars as he eats his second pain au chocolat. A little tough, not stale, but crisp. And as he's eating it, he's thinking about how a chocolate croissant wouldn't be this tough to chew on, and how that's what he'd prefer that he had. Really remember, really connect to your inhale of your breath here. Feel the lungs inflate you. Feel how that inflation of lungs impacts your rib cage, impacts your body. And then think about how the exhale half impacts your nervous system, allows you to be just a little more at ease, just a little more relaxed into the shape. 30 seconds here on this second side. One more big, full inhale breath, full, deep exhale breath. And with no rush, whenever you're complete, we'll press ourselves up, give ourselves that little squeeze once again as we recenter. Squeeze can be over the top, grabbing the shins or underneath the hamstrings, but just a little squeeze into center. And then let's just make sure we have all of our props super accessible. And we'll lower ourselves back onto our spine. You come back onto your spine, and we've only been in two shapes, right? But think about how different the spine feels against the mat. Think about how different your respiration feels within your body. And then we're going to grab whichever prop we have that provides the most stability. So if you have a block or a book, works great. If you have a dense pillow, works great. If you have a blanket or towel, also works great. We just want to fold that so that it gives an approximation of a block. So something like this. So whichever prop gives us the most stability, let's choose that. And we're just going to bend both knees, lift ourselves up into a bridge, and slide the block underneath. Slide the prop underneath the tailbone. The actual prop doesn't matter. We just want to have some stability here. And then once you get this supported bridge kind of in place, see what it feels like to extend the left leg. And just note how that feels and see if it's possible to extend the right. If this doesn't feel beneficial for you, rebend the knees. You can go bottoms of the feet together. You can go feet out wide, knees together. But if it feels possible for you to have the legs extended, let's have the legs extended. If it doesn't feel beneficial for you to have the legs extended, let's choose a shape that feels the most positively impactful for us. And then we'll just settle in. This is a very different shape than anything we've been in. Obviously, but we put the spine in extension, right? So we spent a lot of time in flexion. We spent a good amount of time in a lateral bend. And now we're just letting the spine go in that fourth direction into extension. Flexion, lateral bend side one, lateral bend side two, and now this forward extension. And you do not need to have the legs extended to be an extension. Having the bottoms of the feet will give you extension. Having the bottoms of the feet together will give you extension. So will having the knees together. So choices here for the maximum benefit of your extension. And so even though the pastry didn't feel perfect as he was consuming it, he recognized that having these little mementos of the wrongs that had been done to him did feel good. It felt nice. It felt safe to be able to look up at these little glass containers of holding a record of the wrongs against him. And as time passed, he added more sticky notes to more glass containers. And people would come over and ask what they were. And he would explain it to them. And he could go one by one. He'd say, this is where Steve Miller cut in front of me at the bakery. This is where my parking space was stolen. This is when the neighborhood kids smashed the flowers in my garden. And he could go glass bowl by glass bowl, naming each wrong that had been done to him. Eventually, he had to get another shelf cleared out so they could put more bowls on it. And then when all the shelves in the house were full, he had to start building new shelves. It was about the time when the shelves were kind of stacked five deep. Everywhere that there was a shelf, there was floor underneath it. People stopped coming over. But he didn't mind because it was comforting to look at these things, these records, these tallies of things that had happened to him. Give ourselves about 60 more seconds here. It feels appropriate for you. Let's slowly bend the knees or bring the knees back into a bent shape if they aren't already there. And then we'll lift ourselves just high enough to slide whatever prop we might be using out from underneath us. Sacrum comes back down in line with the thoracic spine. Let your body land here. And we are going to grab our pillow-like prop, our most pillow-esque prop, and just tuck that up against the left hip. Let the left leg extend down the mat, and let that inner thigh and the right leg come over and rest in a little static twist. Just settling into this twist. Thinking about the placement of the right shoulder, we want that to be at ease here. If you don't feel like the right shoulder can be at ease, you can add more props. So you could take a block or a block-like folded blanket and add more height. You really want to get into a shape where you feel all the way supported here. Get into a twist where you feel all the way supported here. Even better. maybe send some awareness down to the sacrum, right? So we just had that big sacrum lift into extension, and now we're going for a sacrum rotation. Maybe just think about if there are little subtle tweaks or adjustments that you might give or offer to get everything just a little bit more integrated and aligned. Maybe the subtlest of a glute squeeze or a core engagement. I think this is a restorative yin, so we're not looking for a lot of musculature engagement. But if there's a tweak that can be added to benefit you, play with adding that. Think about what the current pacing of your respiration is, and if that pacing is advantageous, conducive to releasing, relaxing. We'll give ourselves about 30 more seconds on this first side. And when it feels appropriate, let's bring the right leg back to its side of the mat, bend the left knee, and then we can move our prop over to the right side. You have that prop hugged up against your right hip. Right leg can extend, and left inner thigh can find its way into that port. Just settle our way into this twist. Side two. And so this man continued to add more and more shelves to his home. So we could place more and more glass bowls with more and more sticky notes. Each note a memory, a memento, a record of a wrong that was done. not always wrongs to him. Sometimes they were wrongs to the society itself, but they were wrongs nonetheless. Check back in with the pacing of your respiration. Sometimes just swap to the second side can dramatically change the rate at which we're exchanging our breath. Just ensure you are using the rate of respiration that maximally benefits you. We'll give ourselves just about 30 more seconds here on the second side. And when it feels appropriate, let's bring our left knee back, our right knee bends to mirror. Let the entirety of your spinal column align. Ask yourself if there's any tweaks or adjustments that you might want to make, any physical position shifts that you might want to offer so that you can be in your ideal version of Shavasana. And if there is, let's allow for those tweaks now. If you're ready for your version of stillness tonight, then let's allow that version of stillness. Finding a rate of respiration that allows for the most amount of ease maximum amount of release. He dusted these little glass bowls daily, sometimes rearranging them by category: betrayal, insults, neglect. Some of the sticky notes had essays written on them, Some were just a single word. And he kept adding more and more. The walls grew tighter. The light in his house started to get dimmer. They were blocked out. And then one day the ground moved. A low rumble. An earthquake that was barely enough to spill tea, but it was enough that the jars shifted and started to fall. First, it sounded like rain, then like hail. And it sounded like boulders were smashing into the house. The old man had no time to run, and he had nowhere to go. And after a while, there was only silence. Start to bring some movement to your fingers and your toes. Up into your wrists and your ankles. To your elbows and your knees. Shoulders and your hips. Neck, head. Eyes, tongue. Eventually, the entirety of the body moves, and we'll utilize that movement to find our way into a seat. Seated space, spine gets tall, breath gets fluid, eyes closed. Your next inhale, let's bring our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you remind yourself that a grievance kept, a grievance carried is a burden and a danger to those who keep them, and see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of tonight's practice and for being you. Namaste. Happy Monday, guys. Appreciate the heck out of you making it and letting me do a little yin class. I've been wanting to do that for a very long time. So hope you enjoyed it. Have a beautiful week. We'll be back on Sunday to recharge and we'll do a balance on next Monday. Love you guys. Ah.